right, welcome back. We are ACI Course 12, Class 9, April 24th, 2026. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you just by way of your thinking of them. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about emptiness and karma, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with a strong intention, we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please, please teach me that, show me that, help me become that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world. They are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, four lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayam. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. Last class, we were talking about the sliver of diamond proof of emptiness. And it's an exploration of how or why things happen. So it's about causation, about function, and how things get caused. It sounds sort of theoretical. And it does talk, it is meaning how to explore like why, I don't know, suppose there was a tornado in Kansas. It's like why, what caused the tornado in Kansas? But also we're talking about what causes the can opener to open the can. What causes the door to open when I grab the doorknob and turn and pull? So we're not just talking about things that happen. We mean really causation on a detailed level. And if what we think is the cause of something is the cause of something, then that cause has to always create that something. It can't do it sometimes and not others. And our minds say, well, that's silly because things are always different. You never have the same cause causing the same thing. But in our expectation of life, we do think, right? We do the same thing and we get the same result. Every time I put my hand on the doorknob and turn it a certain way and pull it in a certain way, the door opens. So there must be cause and effect going on there. But when we really pin it down, it's like, wow, I can't really find exactly what is the cause of opening the door. And who cares about opening doors and tornadoes in Kansas? I do care about both those things, but mostly it's about how do I cause my happiness? How do I cause somebody else's happiness? If nothing I actually do is the cause, nothing that I appear to do that is the cause. So that's what we're trying to explore, is where does happiness come from? So ultimately, that means where does Buddhahood come from? So causation, one method of exploring that was this proof called the sliver of diamond proof. Things don't happen from themselves. This isn't the proof, this is the conclusion. Things don't happen from themselves. Things don't happen from something else. Things don't happen from both themselves and something else. And things don't happen from no cause at all. And it's like those are the four possibilities. And if none of them are in fact true, then what the heck is going on? Because things do happen. And then the conundrum really is about why is it true that things don't happen from other things? Because that's where it seems like things do happen from other things. And that's why we do anything to make something else happen, because it appears that we can have some effect. So we learned that the exploration of those four factors is actually the exploration of our belief in things having some influence on other things, having relationships between things. And I think we talked a little bit about, in order for two things to have a relationship in which one affects the other or the other is affected by the one, there have to be two existing things already there. And then somehow two existing things that are already there contact each other in some way, and one of them affects the other one to make it change. And that's how we grow up negotiating our human world. Is I'm an existing thing, that's an existing thing. We contact it in time and or space. We exert some kind of will. We make a change, and the change that we want is supposed to happen. And in our human world, it seems like mostly it works. And it's kind of unfortunate, because every time pulling on the door makes it open, reinforces our belief that I'm me, the door is the door, to get to the other side, this is what you do. And every time it works, it's like, see, it works. But then one time it doesn't work, and we go, oh man, there's something wrong with the door. We don't go, wow, what's wrong with my existential way of believing? We just try to fix the door, and then we go back to our old way. Ha, what a relief. Things do work the way I think. Until, either enough go wrong or some big one goes wrong, and we start to question. And, maybe we having sufficient goodness to bump up to with somebody who teaches us the pen thing, and we have enough goodness to go, whoa, there's something significant there. And we dig in further, and then here we are, however long later, trying to figure out what's really going on so that I can make a world where doors always open when you grab the handle, turn, and pull. But maybe I could even make a world where doors open and you don't even have to grab the handle, turn, and pull. Maybe you just have to stand in front of it and it opens because you need it. And oh my gosh, I do have such a world, mostly, right? Because there are so many automatic doors. But have you ever walked up in front of one and a door doesn't open? And then you step back and you try again and it doesn't open? And then somebody walks up behind you and it opens for them. I always like to use that. I mutter loud enough that somebody can hear. I must be invisible today because I couldn't get the door to open, because it doesn't work like that either, to just stand in front of the electric eye. So we explored that sliver of diamond proof to come to see that the punchline is always the way I think. Things don't come from themselves self-existently, in them, from them. Of course not. They need something else to affect them. But things don't come from other things in the way that we believe they do either. The door doesn't open by pulling it without my experience, the door opening by pulling it. Where does that experience come from? Whose experience is it? Mine. Right? So we know again the punchline, my projected results, my perception of opening the door in that way works. But it's my perception happening, not actually contacting a doorknob that I turn and pull to open the door. My projection happening is what makes my experience door opening, me walking through. And then we think, oh, but my projection is just something in my mind. The door is real. Walking through the doorway is real. And it's like that's what we're trying to recognize more clearly, is our belief that our experiences are somehow more real than projections. Because to say projection, my mind all still goes, oh, just a picture, just a movie, just a dream, but life is reality. So we explore it again and again and again in all these different ways where things don't happen from other things without my ripening projection, things affecting other things to bring something about. Yes, grabbing the doorknob, turning, pulling opens the door because my projected results is ripening that now. Is that ripening projection a part of the doorknob or a part of the door or a part of the turning the doorknob? No. All of those things are parts of my projection. Not those things are separate from my projections. So if you go back and do that sliver of diamond proof and add in them, from them, or without my seeds ripening this, then that explanation makes more sense. But without that, our ordinary way of thinking, it's like this proof doesn't make sense because it's not true that things don't come from other things until we explore it more deeply. Is it true that things don't come from other things without my projection, them coming from other things? Yes, that's true. So do things come from other things? No. What's happening is my projection is changing. And the way it's changing is hand turning knob, hand pulling knob, me seeing door open, me seeing me walk through door opening. That's just shifting. Karmas, mind shifting constantly. Oh, that means I'm the only existing thing, and my mind is the only existing thing. And that's a wrong conclusion, because then we're thinking, oh, me is a self-existent thing because me is the one doing the projecting. But is that true? Okay? Is me separate from those projections ripening? It can't be, can it? We have to be part of the projection. Well, then who's projecting? What's projecting? How are projections happening? And it starts to get slippery because projections are happening by way of projection. Whoa, where's it ever going to stop? It's not going to ever stop because there's never not projections happening. It's not even this projection and blank, this projection blank. Like if we could slow it way down, we would think we should be able to get to a place in between projections. At the end of this one before the beginning of that one, that we should be able to find it. Why can't we find it? Because that has to be a projection too, doesn't it? To experience in between projections would have to be projection because that's the only way we can experience anything. So we're trying to work our way through where does happiness come from? Ultimately meaning where does our Buddhahood come from? Where does anybody's Buddhahood come from? And so we have this first piece. The things we think are the causes for things, can they be? And we go, oh, I guess not. So if all things that we think cause other things don't exist, how is it that things do exist? And that's that topic of consideration called dendro, which is dependent origination. And I think in our group, we stopped at that point, didn't we? Because I got tired. So we didn't talk about dendro and how we explore this idea, dependent origination, really explore what we think we mean by dependent origination. So dependent origination means what do things depend upon for their existence, for their causation, for their becoming a result? How do they exist? And dendro means things exist in dependence upon other things. Things do not exist independently of other things. Wait, we just showed with sliver of diamond proof that they don't come about from other things. We showed the emptiness of their coming about from other things. And dependent origination says, no, everything depends on something else. So our understanding of dependent origination like ends up in three categories. Depending on which school of Buddhism we're in, which means at what level of understanding dependent origination are we able to function from or realize. So they say that the functionalist schools, any level of understanding where we say, no, things that bring other things about, they have to have some reality of their own. They can't be completely empty of a nature because they function to make something else happen. They have to have some tangible ability to do that, which means they have to have some unique identity of their own, not self-existent. We know everything depends on something else. But come on, a pen has the ability to write. That's what makes it a pen. That's what makes it different than a pine tree or a bicycle. It has to have something in it. So that's what functionalists say things are not self-existent because they do depend on their own causes and conditions. That's true. Everything has its own causes and conditions. But understanding that as dependent or dependence, is that enough for us to figure out where happiness really comes from? We function at this level. I understand everything has causes, but I'm calling them their causes. I'm not including in those causes how I treated others in the past. Like that's not even on the radar screen yet. So one understanding of dependent origination, things exist in dependence upon their own causes and conditions. Second level says that's incomplete because it leaves out the explanation for existing things that don't have causes. And there are such things like empty space, like the emptiness of things, like facts. Facts. And those are existing things. What do they depend on if they don't depend on their own causes and conditions? And our next higher understanding says, well, they're not self-existent either because those things still exist in dependence upon their parts. The parts of space, the parts of emptiness, that's a little slippery. And then highest school. So at this level, they say lower middle way understanding says, yes, things exist in dependence upon causes and conditions if they're changing things. If they're unchanging things, they still exist in dependence upon other things because they depend upon their parts. Highest middle way says, yes, we understand all that, but that's insufficient for showing us where happiness comes from, where suffering comes from. Until we understand dependent origination at the level of things exist in dependence upon our mind taking information, laying a conception on it, and interacting with that conception. Until we're functioning at that level, we won't make the connection between our behavior and our experiences, our past behavior and our current experiences. And it's like, how do you get from that one to the other? Like the highest school is pointing out everything about our experience really depends upon our mind seed projection making us experience things in the way that we do. So then we need to ask, well, what makes that happen? The projection making my reality, that has to be a result of a cause also. If this is a conception happening, result conception happening, the cause of a conception has to be some previous conception put in there. It's our mind changing that's making our experience change. And the mind result has to come from a mind cause. The way the mind cause got into our mind was by way of how we perceived ourselves interacting with what we perceived as other. Previous projection, me opening door, plant seeds. For current projection, door opening, me when me does this. And it happens so smoothly that we're not aware of the planting as we're experiencing the result, the ripening. So highest middle way is trying to explain that the level of understanding dependent origination that actually helps us is the level of understanding that shows us, oh my gosh, my interaction now is where I'm making the causes for any result I could ever experience in the future. So highest view is the only one where we conclude, oh, I want to be kind to others because that's what will bring kind results, pleasant results. So someone in the evening class said, you know, when I use these proofs on my friends, they just look at me like I'm a crazy person. You know, that's just nuts to say the dog's not chewing on a pen. That's just nuts to say things don't come about from other things. And it's frustrating, right? Because these are proofs. You should be able to sit down with your parrot and explain it to your parrot and have the parrot go, oh, you're right, because they're truths. But come on, whose truth is it? And so whose truth is it to see myself giving it to the parrot and the parrot just, right, doing the same old thing, eating their grape while they're listening? Okay, fine. Right, that's my projection too. To explain it to somebody and they just go, you're nuts. Nothing we can't change once we understand sliver of diamond proof and dependent origination proof. And prove it to ourselves. That's the important piece, not proving it to somebody else. Prove it to ourselves to the extent that we decide my behavior now is the important piece of the equation, because that's where we create. So I'm trying to go there. So what would be a good way to describe the object we deny in the case of the proof of the emptiness of causes? You had that question on your homework and your quiz, and maybe you couldn't answer it yet. It would be anything that could cause another thing to happen without having depended upon shifting projections forced by our past karma. Meaning anything that comes about without being shifting projections that are the results of our past behavior. The object we deny is something that could exist independent of our own projection. Do we think there are such things? Think of the grocery store you frequent. Think of its flower department. Are there flowers in the flower department even though we're not there looking at them? Yes. Do we know it for sure? No. Do we know what specific flowers are there? No. Is it there because we're thinking of it? Wow. Not because we're thinking about it, but we're having the projection, remembering my grocery store with the flower department, so probably there's flowers in the flower department now. We are having that real experience just by thinking of it. We confirm it by going there and saying, see, they are there, but that would be at least, however long it takes you to get there. Are those the flowers that were there when you were thinking of them? No. Now we say those are the real flowers. But are they not the same in their existence of being your projection as the ones when you are at home thinking about them. Projections ripening. Projections ripening. Projections ripening. Real versus imagined is still projections ripening. And that's what makes the difference between imagined and real. So real is real by way of our projections. All right, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So if we agree with sliver of diamond proof, nothing happens without my projections, something happening. It helps us understand then how things do happen. And then we would understand better what's going on when something that we want to happen and we do what we think would make it happen and it doesn't happen. We would understand to apply our understanding of projections instead of blame the other involved. But does that mean you don't fix the problem? Like we have sewer gas odor in our washing machine. That's a problem. And we're Googling, what's the problem? How to fix the problem? Figuring out who should we call? What should we do? How do we fix the problem? Worldly. If there was some self-existent way of fixing that problem, would I even have to Google it for different suggestions? No. I would just like look at the problem and the problem solution would show itself because it would be in the problem, wouldn't it? And it's like, that's not what problems are, Sarani. Problems are problems. You have to figure them out. Proof that they're not in them, from them, not even the problem. So, I'm figuring I've called the plumber. I've Googled it again. I have a plan for what I'm going to do. But technically, what I should really do is go find somebody else who has a problem and go take care of their problem. But does then that mean that when I get home of taking care of their problem, the sewer gas in my washing machine will be gone? It might, but if it isn't, I have to do something, don't I? Okay, leave it, go fix somebody else's problem. Would I ever get around to fixing the washing machine? And I don't know if I can use the washing machine until I get the problem fixed because I'm afraid if I use it, sewage is going to overflow everywhere if that's the problem. So I'm stuck. What do I do? Yeah, both says, okay, that's right. I know, diamond dealing myself, right? So Geshe didn't use sewer gas in the washing machine example. He used taking money to the grocery store to buy a bar of chocolate, getting the chocolate, eating the chocolate, and now the chocolate's gone. Right? That's samsaric life. We believe the chocolate bar came from giving the money to the store. We believe the enjoyment of the chocolate bar comes from eating the chocolate bar. And then we believe the distress of having no more chocolate bar comes because the chocolate bar is finite and I finished it. So the emptiness of causation, how the chocolate bar happened, we've already looked at. The money that brings the chocolate, no, you can have the $3.95 for a chocolate bar in your pocket. And as soon as you have $3.95, if it's the cause for a chocolate bar should appear. But it doesn't, you have to go buy it. But you can have your $3.95 in your pocket and be on the way to the store to get the chocolate bar, and the store cannot have the chocolate bar. So the money's not the cause. And the store isn't even the cause. And I could be on the way to the grocery store and not ever make it to the grocery store. So the money is not the cause. The grocery store is not the cause. And we go, of course not. All of that rolled together. You have to have the money. You have to get there. They have to have it. Right. See? So thinking that having money buys me chocolate isn't the real cause, even worldly, because there are all these other factors. But a cause, to be a cause, it has to be the thing that makes the result. If there are all these other factors involved, well, then you don't have a cause. You have all these other factors. And then what is it about one factor that makes it such that that one's missing? And then all the rest don't become factors anymore. Which one is it that goes missing that makes it such that the money doesn't cause the chocolate when it should have? What's the missing link? What's the link that holds them all together? Right? We know the punchline. My seed's ripening in every moment. I have the money. The store is there. I get to the store. It has the chocolate I want. I managed to get it from the shelf to the clerk. I managed to get the money from my hand to the clerk. All of that, the link that ties it all together is my experience of it. And my experience of it is my seeds ripening, unique to me, making me experience getting to the store, making me experience the store having the chocolate, making me experience it. If you remove that factor, none of those other things are even there to happen. Ooh, that's slippery. You remove my projections from the equation and everything disappears. Like, that's a wrong conclusion, but it sure seems valid. The thing is, we can't ever remove our projections from the equation and still have an equation, right? It's impossible for our subject side to ever be removed. But at the same time, it's impossible for our subject side to be the same 2 moments in a row. And it's like, woo, how do I relate to that then? There's always a me, but always a different me, but not ever so different that I become somebody else. Always subject side. So dependent origination is what we're trying to pin down. The proof of dependent origination goes like this. Consider all inner and outer objects that do something. Outer objects mean material things. Inner objects mean thoughts, emotions, consciousnesses, inner. All those things that do things. They don't exist ultimately. And that sentence is funny. They don't exist ultimately, meaning they don't exist at all, or they don't exist ultimately, meaning they exist in some other way than we think they exist, right? It's like, what do they mean by ultimately? What do we mean by ultimately? When you hear the word ultimately, what is your mind, right? What comes up? Do we mean things exist the way we believe they do? Really? The real flowers versus the ones you thought of being there? Is that what it is? Is that the ultimate flower when you imagine the flower and then you go look? The ultimate one is the one you actually see versus the imagined one that you thought about? and then you match the two, and the real one is the one that's ultimate because look, I can touch it, I can smell it. My imagined one, right, wasn't really there. Is that what we think ultimate means? Okay? They don't exist, really. But does it mean they don't exist at all? Or are they saying they don't exist ultimately, meaning in the end, they don't exist at all? So it's slippery. That's our assertion about all those outer and inner objects that do something. They don't exist ultimately. Now we give our reason for what we mean by they don't exist ultimately. And our reason is because they exist through dependence on other things. Anything that exists in dependence upon something else don't then exist in them, from them, all by themselves. Did we think that about the flower that we're looking at, that it exists independent of any other factor? Come on, no. We know it needed the plant, it needed the sun, it needed the, we don't think that it exists self-existently. But do we think they exist independent of our experience of it? Yes, right? I'm looking at the flower. I turn my back. I'm not looking at the flower. I believe that flower is still there. Is it? Ow. I can't confirm that it is without having a valid perception of it. But does that mean as soon as I stop seeing you, you cease to exist? Please no, right? Please no. Please go on existing. But we really do need to pin these kinds of things down to understand how it is that you do continue to exist when I'm not experiencing you directly, but you're not existing in the way I believe you are, which is independent of my projection of you. Like, how can it be both, Sarani? Either everything's in my projection, in which case it's not there when I'm not projecting, or things have some nature of their own. That's where we're trying to go. Because things exist through dependence upon other things, they don't exist ultimately. So now ultimately means in them, from them. Okay, independent. Lowest school will say, right, because things exist in dependence upon their causes and conditions. Lower middle way says, right, because things exist in dependence upon their parts. And highest middle way says, right, because things exist in dependence upon the mental seed ripening of the one who's experiencing them, whether they're experiencing them as a material thing or as an imagined thing, as a remembered thing, right? Any experience that we have has to be experienced through a ripening projection that was put there by some past interaction, subject-object interaction between. Things don't exist ultimately because they exist in dependence upon the projections of the one who's experiencing them. The projections are forced by our karma. What we mean by karma is the imprint made by way of what we see ourselves think, do, say towards what we perceive as other. So things exist by way of our past behavior, which is why Geshe-la always lands on us. The building block of our reality is kindness. right? He just jumps over all of this stuff and goes to the conclusion. Kindness makes reality because existence is a good thing. All right. So intellectually, we get it. Okay, everything happens because of my projections. But then we still expect things to cause other things in the way we want them to. Right? We still interact with things in ways that show that if we really look seriously, we see we're not taking responsibility for creating our future. We're doing something with an expectation of an desired outcome in the next moment. And most of us have sufficient goodness for what we do in this moment to bring our desired outcome in the next moment. And unfortunately, that lets us go on believing, right, that we're right, that turning the doorknob does open the door, in which case I don't like squeal with delight every time that it works because I have this expectation for it to work because that's how I open doors instead of it being a miracle, okay, that it worked again because it doesn't work that way. It works because I opened doors for others in the past. And if I knew that everything the door did open, I'd go, wow, good for me, good for past me, opening doors. Every time the stock car started, wow, good for me, helping people, I don't know, start their cars. It would be a really different mindset. But that would be a worldview that would be able to explain why things happen, and therefore would be a worldview that would show us how to how to make our own happiness. Because it would show us just trying to help others have some happiness is the source of our own future happiness. Whether it works in the moment or not, we've all tried to make somebody happy and maybe even upset them instead. But that was not cause and effect. That was the result of sometimes somebody tried to make me happy and I got upset instead. And I see that about myself. So, right, that a worldview that can bring us happiness should be a worldview that inspires us to be more helpful, more kind, more concerned about other beings. Be just out of pure selfishness. Our concern turns on to others because we want to be happy. When our worldview is such that we understand where happiness comes from, our own happiness comes from taking care of others, trying to bring them happiness. Right? Then we turn our selfishness onto others. Right? Which sounds wrong. But what it means is we use every tool in the book to try to bring somebody else some happiness. And just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And when those seeds are ripening, you won't recognize yourself because of the love that will be bubbling out of you, forced by your karmic seeds of having just tried to help other people, tried and failed. Okay, so we're still on this consideration of dependent origination. We've had the Topic of exploration. Consider all inner and outer things that do something. Our assertion. They don't exist ultimately. Why? Because they exist in dependence upon other things. We can give an example. They are, for example, like a reflection in a mirror. So suppose you're talking to someone in front of you and you're having a conversation. And then for some reason you turn and look behind you and, wait, the person is there too. And then you look back and you realize, oh, I was talking to the one in the mirror. I just didn't know the mirror was there. If you don't know the mirror is there and you're interacting with the reflection in the mirror, you think you're interacting with the person. So Samadhi and I were in this little cafe very shortly after coming out of retreat, and I was just scanning the surroundings. We sat down at the little table. I had the sense of the size of the room and the number of people in it. And I, doing my thing. And then like something caught my eye on the other side of the room. And I looked more carefully and I had this instant, wow, there's two people over there that look a lot like us. And then I looked again, and it's like, hey, that is us. And suddenly there was this wall mirror. And suddenly the room shrank to half the size. The number of people there shrank to half the size. It was so peculiar, but it was so real. Do you see? From real to in a mirror. And it's this example exactly. That whole experience was all my projections happening. The room was the original size. And then my projection shifted. Hey, wait, that's a mirror. And suddenly those people in the mirror became just reflections. Whereas before they had their own reality, right? The difference between do they exist ultimately? And no, they don't exist ultimately. They were just reflections in a mirror. But this is saying, even my reality cafe, the little one, is just reflections in a mirror. Because they are my projected results from the thing standing in the mirror, which is my behavior from before. So in the original example, you're talking to somebody in front of you, and then you realize they're really behind you because that's how they got reflected in the mirror. To me, it's like, okay, what the causes that I make for my current experience are coming from behind me in the sense of my past being behind and my future being ahead and my current being now, which we're going to end up studying is not correct, but it's useful, right? My past deeds are the thing that's reflecting in the mirror, and the mirror's reflection is my current experience. But it's no more real than a reflection in the mirror. Is a reflection in the mirror real as a reflection? Absolutely. In the same way that my projected you is real, and in fact more real than the self-existent you that I think I'm interacting with. Not dependent on any other factor, but not the you that's dependent upon my projection, you. Because when I say you are all my projections, my mind automatically goes, and so you are not real, right? When an accurate reaction to you are all my projections is, wow, Like you are real. That's what makes you real. And without my projections of you, there wouldn't be a you for me, which I just met Yashing, right? The rest of you I've known for a while, but there was a time when I didn't know any of you. I didn't have the projections of any of you. Did you exist? Yeah, you're going to say, of course I existed. But did you exist for me? No. Thank you very much that you do now. See, so our projection, to understand projections, intellectually, we get it, we get it, we get it. But when push comes to shove, it's like, no, I can't really get it yet. Because I still think when I say that's all my projection, a piece of me falls off that cliff. So it's not real. It's just not real the way I thought. It is real. It's always been projections. It's not like suddenly things exist in a different way than before. It's just some stain that was there drops for a little bit and we glimpse reality. But until we don't drop off the, oh, it doesn't exist at all. Oh, no, no, yes, it does. Cliff, right? I, I say my own mind is resisting the conclusion, which is crazy because the conclusion is, oh my gosh, I can create paradise for everybody, not from nothing being anything, but from every moment of my interaction with other. Okay, so I'm trying to get us all there, right? To stop dropping off that cliff of, oh, things aren't real if they're my projections, to, wow, that's how they're real. Let's take a break. Dinar, you have your hand up. Can we save the question for the end of class, please? Thank you. Thanks, Roxana. I know I'm going really fast. Okay, are we back? Hello, come back, come back. So we're actually just now starting on to the class 9 homework. We've talked about causation, and Sliver of Diamond proof shows us the emptiness of causation. And then we use the dependent origination proof to show, therefore, how things do happen. And we still have the aspect of how do results come about? Right? We've been talking about what makes things happen. And you can look at cause-result relationships from the cause making the result, and you can look at it from the result coming from the cause. And it's two necessary ways of sorting out that relationship that we think is there, a cause and a result. In order to have a relationship, they have to both be there. But that's silly because you don't have the result if you have the cause, because that's what it is to be the cause. It brings about something that wasn't there already. If it was there already, you wouldn't need a cause. If it's there already, the cause has already been there and gone. Well, if you don't have the result until the cause is gone, how is it that the cause is the cause of the result? And if you don't have a result yet, how is it that the thing is a cause for anything? It doesn't become the cause of the result until the result is there. What's really happening in cause result? So how does the result come out of the cause? How did the cause make the result? How does the result come out of the cause? Why do we care? Where does my happiness really come from? Where do others' happinesses really come from? Right? There are layers of that as well. Oh, their karma. No, my karma for their happiness. Wait. Okay. So there's another proof. This one I still find really difficult. The 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 Tibetan is Yume Keigo Giten Sik. I'm not gonna put it up there. You'll see it in your answer key. But it means the proof where we deny that things could grow or stop, which already exist or not. Like in English, that's just so slippery. the proof that shows that things that exist don't grow or stop. Things that don't exist don't grow or stop. Things that grow don't exist or not. And things that stop don't exist or not. And it's like, what? So thank you, Geshe Michael, for sorting it out for us, because I would still be chewing on this one if left to my own devices. So he gives this example. Suppose we have a watermelon seed in our hot little hand. The watermelon seed, we believe, is the cause of a watermelon plant, which would grow more watermelons that would give us more watermelon seeds. And at the time that we have the seed, do we also have the result? No, there is no watermelon plant when we have just the seed. There's not a watermelon plant inside the seed. We just have the seed. There's no watermelon plant outside the seed either, related to this seed. We only have the seed. At the time of the seed, does the result exist yet? We say no. So at some point, something that doesn't exist, the watermelon plant, is going to begin to exist because of its cause. If that seed gets the right conditions and it does what its cause nature is meant for it to do, then the result will be a watermelon plant, right? The result won't be a bicycle. It won't be a radish plant. If that seed gets its causes and conditions to make its result will be a watermelon plant. Will it necessarily make watermelons? No. Will it ever make oranges? No. So there's something about it. Right? It has to be in the seed. Wait, everybody froze. Does that mean I froze? Hello, come back. It has to be something in the seed. Doesn't it? So then doesn't it have to be in the seed already? Because there's the watermelon seed. Because the plant doesn't exist yet. And then dependent on that watermelon seed and those other factors, something that doesn't exist yet is going to start into being. A result is going to start. Yeah, and then the result to be a functioning thing is going to have to stay for a while. But then any functioning thing runs out, right? In order for a function to say a function has functioned, it has to end. It doesn't go on functioning forever. And then we can say the seed made the watermelon plant that made the watermelon. So, did the watermelon plant already exist before it came into being? No. But at what point does that little sprout become a watermelon plant? Is it a watermelon plant, the first little green thing that comes out? Our mind says, no, it's not the whole plant, it's just the sprout. But our mind believes that that sprout is a watermelon plant sprout, something unique in it, because it comes out of a watermelon seed. So there is something existing first for the result to be the result. But we already said the result doesn't exist. So how does something that not exists all of a sudden come into being? And our conventional human mind says, because of the seed and the sun and the water surrounding, come on. But none of those things are at all similar to a watermelon plant. How do things that are dissimilar, that are gone before the watermelon plant shows up, interact with something that's not even there yet for that thing to suddenly be there? How does a result come about? In worldly ways, they come about all the time. But if we really pin it down, it's like, wait, I can't figure it out. I can't find the moment. And I can't find why only watermelon plants can come from a watermelon seed. If the watermelon seed has no nature of its own, anything should be able to come out of that thing. Anything could become anything at any moment. If it's all my projections, that should be true. But does it happen by wishing? No. Do I have control over what ripens? No. If I did, right, I would Buddha paradise for everybody already. If that could be done, Buddhas would have done that. Hey, wait, they are doing that. I just can't see it. Yeah, but why couldn't they have made me see it that way? Because it's my projection to not see it that way. Poor Buddhas, they must all be just like, Sharani, would you just get it, please? Can't you just see our world? I'm trying so hard. I have to create the ability to see their world, don't I? Because that's going to be my projection. And nothing but. And of course they know that. And that's what Buddha's compassion and love is about. Like you guys who have kids, when they were 3 years old and they scrape their knee and it's the, disaster of the century. And it's just a little boo-boo and you kiss it and hug them and all of a sudden it's better. In your heart, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you're suffering so much. It's such a minor thing. It's like Buddhas, multiply that like by gazillion. And my Buddha's looking at me going, oh, it's just a boo-boo. Right? I'm kissing it and fixing it. Get over it. I wish. Like, please, don't give up on me. Our seeds are so strong. It is within Buddha's awareness. Everything is within Buddha's awareness. So yes, it is their projection. That's a little slippery discussion. Did everybody see what Dinar said? It's Buddha's projection that I don't see them. Meaning Buddhas still have some suffering seeds. Then they're not Buddhas. What it is to be omniscient is that your projections are forcing you to see other beings who don't see themselves the way you see them. Is that a suffering? Apparently not. Is it projection? Yes. Does that mean it's a projection I can't change? I can't change a Buddha's projection. I can only change mine. I can't even change yours. As a Buddha, they can't change my projection. If they could have, they would have. Only I can do that. All right, so when we investigate results, how do results happen? We use those four possibilities again, but they're worded a little bit differently. We check, was the result already there at the time of the cause? Number one. Number two, was the result not there at the time of the cause? Number three, what is the result both there and not there at the time of the cause? And number four, you know what's coming. Is it not is the result not there regardless of the time of the cause? Right? So we're going to look to show ourselves. We're going to look at those four possibilities. The one that doesn't make sense, of course, is why is it incorrect to say that the result was not there at the time of the cause? Because that one seems correct. If it's true that watermelon seeds are the cause for watermelon plants, when you have a watermelon seed, you don't yet have the result, watermelon plant. And yet, when Arya Nagarjuna and others are leading us through this exploration of results, they say it's true that the result was not already there at the time of the cause. And they say it's also true that the result was there at the time of the cause. But we have to understand what they mean by that. So why is it true that there's no plant yet when we're holding the seed? And why is it also true that it's not that there's no plant yet when we're holding the seed? And apply the punchline because we know it. Without being a projection of the mind of the perceiver. So when we have the seed without the plant, and we think the seed will be the cause of the plant, but I don't have the plant yet. And so therefore, there's no result from the seed yet, because we're thinking the seed turning into the plant coming from the seed is going to happen independent of my projections making it happen. And any seed that brings about a result can't do it without our projection, that seed bringing about the result. So when we're exploring the result of the seed, to explore it as in it, from it. No causes and conditions. Right. What's in those from those that make it happen? Right. What is it about the result that makes it the result that we see? Without our projection, all of it falls apart. What if you didn't know watermelon seed? Somebody said, put out your hand. They put this thing in your hand. Is it a watermelon seed? If you've never heard of watermelon, you've never heard of seeds. No, what's the thing? It's something. What's the seed for the dog? Right? We think dog sniffs watermelon seed. I don't know what they experience. I would know if there was something in the watermelon seed saying watermelon seed, watermelon seed. Then I would know that the dog is experiencing watermelon seed. And I think I do. Right? That's the point. Trying to show ourselves that the identity of the object can't be in the object. It has to be my mind. So identities we get, but the watermelon plant. So suppose I put in front of you a little pot with a little watermelon plant. They have a unique shape to their leaf. And you go, oh, watermelon plant. And with watermelon plant came from a seed that somebody planted in that pot, had the right circumstances that out pops watermelon plant. I will try to do my best to add the water and the fertilizer and the circumstances to bring that plant to its ability to give its result, watermelon. Do you see like looking at a watermelon plant? All of that's included in our experience if we know watermelon plant. What if we didn't? Oh, plant. What if we didn't know plant? Oh, what is that thing? But we take so for granted. No, I know these things, right? And that makes them real in them, from them. And that's what we're trying to show ourselves. No, that can't work. If the watermelon seed had watermelon seedness in it, it would always bring about a watermelon plant. And most of them don't, or we would be inundated with watermelon plants. And we're not. Something else has to be going on. And we say, right, nobody ever planted all those other seeds. And, Nagarjuna says, right, proves my point. And we say, right, proves our point. So keep digging. Something that doesn't exist yet, a result. Is it there already? No, that's silly, even by way of projections. If you don't have a watermelon plant, you're not projecting watermelon plant. But if we know watermelon seed, and we know that the results of watermelon seeds can be watermelon plants, when we even think of a watermelon seed, isn't included in that subtle thinking watermelon plant possibility here. So is that enough to say we have the result? No. But once we do have the result, was it something out of the seed or out of the sunshine or out of the water? If it's depending ultimately on the projection of the mind of the being who experiences watermelon plant. Does that come from the seed? No. Does it come from the plant? No. So is the resultant watermelon plant caused by the seed? No, it's caused by our projection. Does our projection require that it had a seed? Yes. But that doesn't make the seed the cause. The projection is the actual cause, and the resultant plant is the result. But wait, the plant's not the result. The projection of plant is the result. So does that plant exist ultimately? Actually, yes. That's what makes it exist as a physical thing. Our projection of physical things make physical things. Did you feel? I felt my own mind going, "Zzz." No, right? Physical things are there first, and then my projection makes them the identities that I give them. And it's like, it's true. There's information that gets the label. But when I look for that information as being there first, I find more subtle information that gets a label. And when I go looking for that thing that's there first, right? There isn't a there first. Seeds ripening, seeds ripening, seeds ripening, seeds ripening. And so there is physical reality, mental reality, interactions between things, causes, results, results from causes, all of it projected and so real, but not real in the way we used to think, which is the watermelon plant coming out of the seed given the right circumstances. Does our projection require watermelon seed, the right circumstances for result? Yes. So their reality is projected. Yeah, my mind still did it. No, but projected reality is like a movie. Yeah, this is one incredible movie that we've been the actors in and the directors of and the producers were all of it. We've done a good job. All right. How am I doing? Oh my gosh. So apparently Master Shantideva knows that in his audience he has um, even non-Buddhists uh, called numerous the Samkhya philosophy, uh, and they believe that there is a creator being who created all causes and results right at the beginning, and then everything is just ongoing from there. And Master Shantideva is, bringing all of this up to show that if that were true, then that would mean that results are already there before the causes made them. And that somehow having a watermelon seed and no plant, the the result was covered up in some way, and suddenly something uncovers it. But then that's even inconsistent with the philosophy that says everything's already in existence now. Then, if part of that existence was a result covered up, then how does something that already exists shift so that the result can be revealed? It's like he's just saying, if you explore your philosophy for where happiness comes from, maybe you'll find that, right, it doesn't actually lead to the result that you're hoping. He doesn't go exactly there, but the commentary is pointing out that we might still have some such ideas in our own mind that everything's already existing and something happens to show us something different. Okay? And that's just not possible. Then the second, another level of people he's talking about are Buddhists, but Buddhists that believe that the result has some nature of its own. And that's not so far-fetched because we can look at two plants and recognize that one's a watermelon plant and one's a fern plant. And we know that they are both the results of something. And we would know that a different cause makes a watermelon plant than a fern plant. So in sort of inherent in our experience of something we call a result, we are holding that it has defined itself as the result. And because of that, we can know that its cause was similar. So even when we are looking at cause-result relationship, just using the word, this thing's the result and that thing's the cause, we're making this distinction that there's something in the thing we're calling result that's different from the thing we're calling the cause. And that's how we tell the difference between them. Seeds are causes for plants. Plants are the results of seeds. That's how we know them. Those are the words that we use to describe the conception that we're forced to believe, to know, to experience, that makes the seed the cause, that makes the result the result. Nothing is a result of something else. In it, from it, it can't be. Because it depends on the something else. Like it's just contradictory to say the watermelon is the result of the seed and believe that the watermelon or the watermelon plant is the result of the seed and believe that the watermelon plant has its own nature as the result of the seed. Because you can't have a result without a cause. And then the same would be for saying, well, the seed is the seed, which means it's going to be the cause of a plant, but it's not actually a cause until the plant's there. Like it seems like semantics, but when we're looking at the unpleasant experience of the boss yelling at me, right? The boss yelling is the seed. My unpleasant experience is the result. It seems like the cause and the result are happening simultaneously. That would be like saying, put the seed in my hand and the plant shows up. But doggone it, I blame this experience, boss yelling at me, for this icky feeling that I don't like enough to where I'm willing to say or do something that if somebody did that to me, I wouldn't like it, thinking that that's how I get rid of this bad feeling by interacting with the boss, which is again thinking the instant I have a watermelon seed in my hand, I will have a watermelon plant. Because I think if I yell back at the boss, I will feel better. But my yelling back at the boss doesn't ripen in the next instant as my feeling better. It ripens later as somebody else yelling at me. And how do we get off that automatic pilot of you say something, I feel something, I say something back, I feel something? That's life. And it would be like robot to go, whatever I'm feeling is not because of what you do. I'm not going to react to this. That's not the point. Okay. So for a result to come about, something we call a result, it can only be a ripening projection of some seed, mental seed planted, karmic imprint planted, that was similar and happened before. And then reach some threshold of power through which it's now manifesting our current projection. Results happen because change happens. Change happens because karmic seeds ripen and wear out. So this constant ripening mental projections is change happening. And we call it causes, results, results from causes. It doesn't mean they're not happening. It means they're happening by way of our projected result. If the cause result is a pleasant outcome, our what made the projection was some kind of kindness we perceived ourselves doing. If the apparent cause, the fact, is unpleasant, it is a projected result of some unkindness we did, which is a consistent conclusion from understanding these three proofs: the proof of the emptiness of causation, the proof of dependent origination of causation, because we can do the same thing with result. And then the proof of this, where do results come from? To show ourselves that causation is projected, the result is projection, and the interaction between them is projection. Constantly, constantly changing. Which is why things wear out. It's why results wear out, because there are only so many projections for sustaining any given sequence of objects. The seed ceasing to be a seed, becoming a sprout, is projected results. The projection will push that plant to maturity or to dead, right? The seeds will project it. Our seeds wear out for things because they were planted with the misunderstanding of the identities of the object because of how we then interact with them. Like, in a way, we expect things to wear out, and so they do. We see them wear out because we've always contributed to them wearing out. When we buy the chocolate bar and we eat the chocolate bar ends, and then we're left wanting for more. But then we say, yeah, but if I buy the chocolate bar and I give half of it away and I eat the other half, well, then it wears out sooner. And it's true that the half of chocolate bar wears out sooner than if I had the whole chocolate bar. But because I gave half of it away, right, the pleasure of chocolate bar lasts longer. More chocolate bars will come because I gave part of it away, is the premise. You give enough chocolate bars away. Guess what always says? You will come to be so inundated by chocolate bars someday, right? That hopefully you won't ever wish that you hadn't given so many away, that you will just continue to give them away. And maybe you find that the pleasure of the chocolate bar is greater in the giving it to someone else than it is in eating it yourself. In which case, right? We come to see, oh my gosh, it's the pleasure of sharing. It's the pleasure of interacting. It's the pleasure of trying to give what others want to them, even though I technically cannot. The trying is where my pleasure comes from. And the result of that is a life in which people are giving you things that they think you like, whether they're right or not, right? Things are coming. And then we just turn around and share them with someone else. And then more comes and more shares and more comes and more shares. And that creates a world of abundance, which shows us that first perfection. That's why the first perfection is the first perfection, not just to help us let go of our attachments to things, but to create the seeds for where everybody has their needs met so that everybody has the leisure and fortune ability to turn their minds to their spiritual path. When you are in survival mode at whatever level, spirituality is something you do on one day a week, maybe. We have to feel safe. We have to have our needs met. We have to feel safe to be able to turn our minds to a spiritual path and use it with the consistency that actually can change us. So we see perfection of giving, perfection of moral discipline. It creates abundance and it creates safety. Then we create beauty and mental concentration, these other things as well. So we can learn to interact with our apparently self-existent world from our growing awareness that it does not exist in that way. It exists as my projection. And so every moment is an opportunity to create new. Every moment is already being created, and we can stop perpetuating the old and create new when we can hold our wits about ourselves when we're interacting with others. Because nothing has a nature of its own, no identity, no causality, no resultality, if that's a word, all of it empty of in them, from them, all of them forced on us as ripening results of what we've done in the past. And that whole system is the same, nothing in it from it, right? All of it an explanation of experience. So I want to read to you from Geshe Michael's class, just like my transcript of that audio. He says the irony of our conventional deceptive existence is that we work so hard at trying to satisfy our own needs and desires, even being willing to do selfish or harmful things to others to get what we want or to avoid what we don't want, when those very needs, desires, and aversions don't even exist in any way other than as results of our own past deeds. If we want our own needs and desires to be met, the only way to have that become our projection is to try to give to others their needs and wants, to try to meet others' needs and wants consciously, with wisdom, and dedicated, to help others avoid what they dislike to the very best of our abilities on a very real level that we won't regret. That is the only way to see ourselves getting what we want in the future. So that means that we can recognize that, in fact, most of us do get our wants and needs met even seemingly from what we did the moment before. And that's the result of extraordinary kindness, extraordinary taking care of others in the past. So as you're thinking to yourself, I can never do this, right? I'm such a lousy practitioner. Don't cut yourself so short. The very fact that you have the life that you have is a result of extraordinary kindness in the past. We have those good seeds. I don't know about you, but I know I'm taking them for granted and not recognizing that I've got rejoiceables that I can call upon to perpetuate the circumstances of having the freedom to practice and share the wisdom as I have. So anyone here listening to a class like this has that exceptional goodness, and call upon it, please, to help sustain it. Our self, our world, our experiences is nothing but our shifting karmic seeds. Every instant, a planting, a replanting. So we want to plant conscientiously instead of on automatic pilot. We've been planting by automatic pilot since forever. We want to shift to recognizing, because everything is projection forced by karma, I can stop perpetuating suffering and I can begin creating what will become Buddha paradise for everyone. Because things lack their own natures, because everything is empty, my behavior creates each of us. Sooner or later, our seeds will force us to perceive our minds as omniscient, our bodies made of light, right? Love, radiant compassion, radiant wisdom. Because we are empty of self-nature, that's possible. Even inevitable. So where do we start? How do we start? We've already started understanding the process. And then we want to know, like, how do I actually interact with my world in a way that will put seeds in there for creating this more and more pure world. And we understand that the workings of karma is deeply hidden reality, even deeper than the empty nature. And it takes omniscience to know exactly what this mind needs to give up and take up requires omniscience. So I can make good, educated guesses, but if I really want to know, I would need to go to an omniscient being and say, what do I need to do? So when we do go to an omniscient being, we have access to them through the scriptures. And what Shakyamuni Buddha said to people who asked is, take those 3 sets of vows. Like basically he says, learn to live with morality as your criteria. But what morality? Start with your individual freedom vows. Even the individual freedom vows start with the refuge advices. They're not even vows, but behaviors to train ourselves in once we declare ourselves as Buddhists, whatever that means to you. Work with your 10 non-virtues, avoiding the non-virtues, cultivating their opposite. Train ourselves in those 10 good deeds, protecting life, protecting property, protecting relationships, speaking truthfully, speaking in ways to bring people together, speaking gently, speaking purposefully or not at all, helping others get what they want, whether you like them or not. Helping people who are having trouble, whether you like them or not. And cultivating that correct view, understanding the laws of karma, the explanation that karma is, understanding really clearly the ongoing nature of mind streams, meaning the truth of past and future lives. Start there. Then graduate to some level of individual pratimoksha vow, the 5 lay vows, and or any of the ordination levels if you're so inclined. Then move on to your Bodhisattva vows, which are the 64 vows that we get, 18 root vows, and then the 46 that are instructions on how to actually put into practice those 6 perfections. Then, if you decide you want to accelerate things, there are secret vows that are all the other vows taken to a more subtle level. So we can take vows and then ignore them, and they don't help very much. Probably they even hinder. So when we take our vows, our task is to track them, to track our behavior in relationship to them. Geshe-la, as you know, has taught us to keep that book. Every 2 hours, you stop and check. And you can do it written. You can do it online now, right? There's the Keep Your Vows app. Just recently been upgraded. It'll soon be available. Whatever your system, stop regularly and think back that last couple of hours behaviors. Where did you actually act according to your vows? Pat yourself on the back. Where did I act in my old selfish way? Recognize regret. Make a quick determination on a to-do, right? Some opposite that you can do very swiftly after you've stopped doing your book. I'll go offer a cup of tea to my friend as my antidote to that selfishness that I did 2 hours ago. I just find something kind to do and say, this is what I'm doing in response to that. They don't even have to actually be related. Just do something kind. And then do it because you said you would to the angel in your book. Just try. Pretty quickly, you'll probably find most of the vows I do anyway, right? I live avoiding those, doing their opposites. But this one, and that one, and this one, doggone it, right? It gets me every single time. So then take one of those and work with it specifically. You can even work with it all day. That one thing, if you want to. You get to be the creator of how you use your tracking system. But get familiar and use it until you've got this part of your mind that's watching all the time and adjusting all the time. That's the purpose of having vows. They're not restrictions. They're liberating. It helps decision making be so much easier. All right. We're out of time, but I still have half a class worth to go. So I'm going to put it open to a vote. Do you want to stay and finish? Or do you want to push this over to next class, which would be class 10, which is supposed to be the dedication chapter of Master Shantideva? That I don't want to cut that one short either. So that means we probably have to either ditch our review class and do class 10 instead, or push us to another class. What's your vote? Roxana has to go. We understand. There's a stay if possible. I've got a 1. I have a 2. Anybody else want to stay? Dinar can stay. That's enough for me. Olga wants an extra class. Okay, I have 1 extra class, 3 stays, 2 extra class. Uh-oh, 3 stays. Who hasn't voted yet? Pia's got to go. Frank can stay. All right. I'm going to stay and finish. Those who have to go, go. You'll have the recording, right? So finish the last, however long it takes. And then, so next class will be class 10. So remember that at class 10,
Lama,
we
oh, sorry.
assign, wait. At class 10, I assign the final exam questions for those who want to teach it. So Yasheng, you've never done that with me, but I'll explain later. So if you want to be part of the review class, be sure you're there at class 10 at the beginning so that you can get your assignment. Okay. Yes, Roxana, you have to go. Oh, Olga. Oh. I get it. So I take, manage language interpretation. I want to end Roxana as interpreter and put on Olga. Is that the idea? Okay. Roxana's going. Olga. Olga. Spanish. Yes. Start. Allow you to record. There. Okay.
I can't record because I'm recording the English one.
So what do I need to do?
Someone else needs to switch to Spanish.
Oh, Olga did. Olga.
Laura can switch to Spanish, yeah. Thank you, Laura.
Okay. I'll give them everybody. Lara. Where's the people? Allow to record. Okay. Okay, are we set again? Okay. So Master Shantideva he points out that all of our suffering is empty of self-existence, empty of being anything other than projections forced by results of past deed for the one who's experiencing it. Because all suffering is empty, our current behaviors will be the causes of our future suffering projected that way, ripening results of our deeds. And nirvana, the state of being free of mental afflictions permanently, and total enlightenment also are empty of self-existence. They also lack any true nature. And so that's why it's possible for us to experience ourselves nirvana-sized, in nirvana, free of mental afflictions, when we no longer have seeds that can ripen into a mental affliction. We cannot project ourselves having one. That's what it is to have reached nirvana, is no more active mental afflictions and no seeds that can ripen more of them. Free of mental afflictions, nirvana. It's not a state of mind that suddenly has its own nature of being free of mental afflictions. Nirvana is empty. So both samsara and nirvana have this quality. No, that's not right. Are this quality of being projections forced by the results of past deeds of the one who's experiencing them. And this emptiness of self-nature of both samsara and nirvana is called natural nirvana. We had this term before, Rangshin Ki Nyangde, natural nirvana, samsara and nirvana and Buddhahood and me and you, we all have natural nirvana. So does the table and the bicycle and the watermelon seed all have natural nirvana. It does not mean they are free of mental afflictions. Watermelon seeds aren't free of mental afflictions because they never had any, because they have no consciousness that we think. So natural nirvana simply is a way of saying the empty nature of something. The empty nature of everything is totally free of suffering. It's totally free of happiness too. It's the blank nature that is its availability to be happiness or the source of happiness and the result of past seeds for happiness. So it is true to say samsara and nirvana are equivalent. Samsara and nirvana are the same. We hear that. And if we didn't understand the punchline, we would think, what? Does that mean Buddhism says you're suffering? Who cares? Right? It's no different than nirvana. You're in nirvana. Who cares? It's no different than samsara. Is that the way in which they are the same? That it just doesn't matter whether you're experiencing one versus the other? No, there's a big difference between samsara and nirvana, but not in them from them. If there's a suffering that exists independent of the projections of every suffering being, then there's something that can't be changed. If something exists independent of my projection, it's something that I cannot change by way of my kindness. If there's any samsaric thing I can't change, then I cannot create a Buddha paradise, because a Buddha paradise is an experience in which everything is extraordinary bliss wisdom. And if there's anything from samsara that's stuck in samsara by its very nature, it can't be bliss wisdom. So if there's anything left in our world of existence that has its own nature, that means it's something that's not existing by way of my projection. And that means it's not something that through my behavior I can change. Are there such things? No. Do we still believe there are such things? I do. I know I do. I'm blaming something, some clog somewhere on that foul odor coming out of the washing machine. It didn't have it last week. Now it does. Something has gone wrong. I'm not saying, oh, my past sexual misconduct is ripening a foul odor in my washing machine. Like, come on. That has to be lifetimes ago. So do I just wait it out and the problem will go away? Like, theoretically, all I have to do is go in there, stick my nose, ew, sexual misconduct, none of that in this lifetime, like celibate for years now. And like, come on, how much more? Dishwasher, washing machine. Okay, still stings. All right. Like, really, I should be able to solve the problem by rejoicing, shouldn't I? Everybody calls me the rejoicing queen. Why don't I try it on for size? So the plumber's not calling me back. He's too busy. I've got this problem. What do I do? Call another plumber? No, go rejoice in my sexual purity. I'll try it. I'll tell you. I'll report next week. Thank you for that insight. So there's no difference between samsara and nirvana and enlightenment, right? Right. They are all equally empty. And so there is very much a difference in my projected experience, samsara, and what I hope to be my projected experience, nirvana and Buddhahood. How am I going to make that happen? By manipulating my outer world or manipulating my inner world, manipulating my behavior, which is the go-between between my inner world and my outer world, isn't it? My behavior is where my inner world, interacts with what appears to be my outer world through my behavior. Any other worldview than be kind won't work to bring about the happiness we're looking for. So lastly, Master Shantideva, he goes into how do we actually use this understanding of karma and emptiness? It's all theoretically interesting, but how do we use it to solve the problem of the stinky washing machine? It's only 4 years old, I'll have you know. There's no reason it's old enough to be stinky. Anyway, sorry for that. So Master Shantideva says, the way you use this material is you put it into practice in our 3 spheres. Sepe Kor Sum. I am going to screen share here just for a short bit. Rangshen Kin Yongde, that's what I said earlier. That's the no self nature, natural nirvana. Rangshen Kin Yongde. Let's go down here. Here it is. Sepe Korsum. Korsum means those 3 spheres. Sepe is the 3 spheres of craving. Craving meaning I want that or I don't want that. Craving is wanting to get something that I want, which includes wanting to avoid something that I don't want. That's still a kind of craving. So using the 3 spheres in the circumstance of an experience in which we are going to act is what this is talking about. We've learned the 3 spheres, the emptiness of the 3 spheres in relation to the subject, me, the object, the pen, and the interaction between me using the pen to write. And we've explored, I can think of me in me, the pen in it, pick up the pen and write with it. And I'm interacting in this ignorant way and not realizing that I'm burning off my seeds for having a functioning pen by using it without thinking of its emptiness and dependent origination. And then we've heard that example used. Here's me, there's a little bird. I'm going to feed the little bird some bread to help the little bird not be hungry or to give them a little pleasure. And I can think of the emptiness of me and the emptiness of the bird and think, really, I'm doing this to make a connection to the little bird. So someday I can teach that little bird how to stop their suffering forever, right? Another way to use the 3 spheres. Or we can use it even more deeply, thinking, well, it looks like a little bird, but because it's empty nature, it could be a Buddha angel emanating to me, giving me an opportunity to serve them, to offer to them, to help my empty me plant the seeds for greater wisdom so that I can ultimately help beings someday because I understand the emptiness of subject-object interaction. I can use my emptiness in my imagination in this way. Here, Master Shantideva is saying, in the emptiness of the 3 spheres of the chocolate that I want, because the chocolate gives me pleasure, I can recognize the emptiness of me wanting the chocolate for myself, the emptiness of the chocolate as the source of the pleasure, and the emptiness of the eating the chocolate to get the pleasure, and look at whether or not that chocolate bar is really the source of the pleasure that I feel in the moment, to help us be able to decide what to do with that chocolate bar. Do I eat it until it's gone? Do I share it? Do I give the whole thing away? Okay. So, Sipe Korsum, the emptiness of the 3 spheres of craving. There's the Sepe Shi, which is going to be the basis. the Sepa Po, which is going to be the one who's doing the experiencing, and the Sepe Jawa, which is going to be the emptiness of the act that we're choosing to do, wanting to do, and then deciding whether we're going to do it or not. So now that you've seen that, I'm going to stop this share so I can see you again. So the example Geshe-la used to describe this is an experience in which we are jealous of somebody. So when we are jealous, a circumstance that might make us jealous would be there's a few of us together and we have a common teacher, a common precious holy being, and we all want special attention from that precious holy being. And I see somebody else getting that special attention that I want. And it doesn't really matter whether I like that other person or not, but the strength of my jealousy is going to be influenced by how much I like or dislike that other person, right? So leave that aside and just recognize here's this person that's getting more attention and I want that attention. And so my human reaction is to feel jealous. It's an unpleasant feeling about that person getting that attention. And ordinarily, jealousy makes us act in a way that tries to somehow interfere with that person getting that attention in whatever strategy we might have, trying to point out their faults or trying to distract the interaction between the teacher and that person. Somehow we're willing to interfere in some way. That feeling of jealousy, we're so sure it's unpleasant. We're so sure that we should act from it to get it to go away. Because if we can act to interfere with the circumstance that's causing the feeling will stop, and so my feeling will stop. Does that make sense? So our natural reaction to jealousy is to interfere in some way, believing that that will make the icky feeling go away. So when we explore this situation, the Sipe Shi is the object we are jealous about, meaning the person who's getting the extra attention. And to apply the Course Sum is to look at the emptiness of this object to show us the actual dependent origination of that object, to show us whether or not our choice of behavior is in fact the one we want to do to bring about the end of our bad feeling. So we're looking for strategy here, looking to show ourselves the mistake in our old world view strategy. So we can think of this other person who's getting the attention and think through the emptiness of them. Like, if this person likes getting the attention they're getting, then it has to be a ripening result of some kind of goodness coming from them, right? I have to admit that they're getting the attention if they like it, which I don't really know, but assuming they do, it's because of their goodness. That actually makes me more jealous. Because it's like, well, that means they're gooder than me, and then blah, 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 right? But is they're getting the attention from the Lama that I'm seeing them get? That's my projection. My projection, seeing somebody get a good thing, is that a result of some unkindness or a result of some kindness? It's a goodness. It's a result of my past some kind of kindness that's ripening to see somebody ripen virtue that's getting something that they want. I can take credit for their good circumstance right now. Why am I jealous about that? That's my goodness. Oh, wait a minute. How come they're getting the result of my goodness? If I'm upset about that, what seeds am I planting? Right? Seeds for not goodness in the future. If I'm upset about their goodness ripening for them, what seeds am I planting? Right? Not goodness in my mind. So the one getting the attention, it's not anything from anybody's own side, the way I think. It's their karma goodness ripening, and it's my karma goodness ripening. Why don't I rejoice in the goodness that I see instead of feeling badly about it? It's like I can think it through. Wow, really? I'm giving them this circumstance of special with the Lama. If I can recognize that I'm giving that to them, I'm planting seeds, right, for similar future circumstances. Why am I jealous about it? They've just handed me an opportunity to create more special opportunity with my Lama. And what am I doing with it? Destroying my future opportunity to be the one who gets the special attention. So the emptiness of the person getting the special attention. If we can remind ourselves, we can put a cog in the wheel of our natural reaction. Does it make the jealousy go away? To think it through and recognize, oh my gosh, there's no reason for jealousy. It's still churning away, but I'm trying to override reacting from it. All right, so number one, the object of my jealousy. Number two, Sempa Po is the person who's jealous, meaning me. What's the emptiness of the person who's feeling the jealousy in this situation? Me is empty. The feeling of jealousy is empty. The circumstance about jealousy is empty. Because me is empty, the me who is jealous is my ripening results of past me being jealous. This is a little bit slipperier in figuring out the karmic seed. Our habits perpetuate themselves because they perpetuate the circumstance that propels the habitual behavior. So to be jealous means we've been jealous before. And to go on being jealous, we will continue to find ourselves in circumstances of being jealous. And that means we won't find ourselves in the circumstance of being the one who's favored, right? We're jealous of the one who's getting favored. By being jealous, we're perpetuating jealousy, which means we're perpetuating situations where we see somebody else favored. they say when we understand the nuances of karmic seeds, just to have and allow jealousy to go on is planting seeds for being ugly and unattractive in the future, meaning not being someone who gets the special attention because they are a person that is that people are resistant to. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily physically ugly, like maybe you're behaviorally ugly or unattractive. It's our karmic seed is ripening for us to see ourselves as someone that no one is interested enough in to pay special attention to. A ripening of jealousy is to be someone no one will ever be jealous of, meaning never in the circumstance that would make someone jealous. Like, amen to that. I don't ever want to make anybody jealous because it feels so terrible. But that doesn't mean I want to avoid getting special attention from that special someone. Right? I want special attention, but I don't want anybody to be jealous of me. How is that going to come about? Only by way of the seeds for when I want special attention, grab somebody else and put them there. You know, Geshe has often subtly said, whenever you get the chance with a new student, they're going to be shy and not willing to go meet the teacher. Take them by the hand and go introduce them to the teacher and walk away. Don't hang around wanting the credit for giving them what it is that you want. Do it and walk away. And do it as often as you can. And then someday you'll recognize, wait, I don't need to do that. I can go to somebody else and say, you know, so-and-so's never met Geshe Michael before. Let me introduce you. You, please, Yasheng, go take Olga and introduce her to Geshe Michael. Now, my karmic seeds get credit for Yasheng taking Olga to meet Geshe. Oh, I can do that one step removed. Frank, would you point out to Yasheng that Olga has never met Geshe? Do you see how we can work with our seeds if we can step out of it all? And it's like, how do I create the highest amount of virtue for the most amount of beings in any given circumstance? And then you just create these different opportunities for people to gather their own goodness. Geshe Michael is like the master at that. Have you noticed? He even creates businesses so that people can work in the businesses and make a little bit of a living while they are doing a business that helps other people learn to help other people. And where does it stop? It's like, so it's amazingly, it's a subtlety that becomes obvious as we work with it. And then it really is so much fun. So emptiness of me, the jealous person. Sepe Jawa is the emptiness of the act of jealousy, the circumstance that makes me jealous, and the thing that I think I need to do to make the jealousy stop. Right? So it's the experiencing happening here. The emptiness of the event causing the emptiness of the event causing jealousy is the fact that there's nothing about that event that's causing my jealousy without my own mental seeds for jealousy ripening. So it's almost like something triggers and my jealousy seeds ripen. And then I look and Geshe-la's talking to somebody, and maybe it's not even special attention. Maybe that person is getting an assignment, go clean out the toilet that they don't want to do. Maybe that it's not special attention at all, but my jealousy seeds have ripened, and so I get jealous about what's going on. My mind makes jealousy chocolate sauce over the vanilla ice cream. Geshe-la talking to somebody. And then my mind instantly doesn't like that person a little bit. And then my jealousy, if it carries on after the whole circumstance, will let myself be a little unpleasant to that person, just because they were the one that was there when my jealousy seed ripened. And then hopefully they call me on it, and I go, oh my gosh, what a fool I was. I fell for my jealousy demon again. Instead of recognizing it at the moment. Wait, that jealousy seed ripening, it can just go out there and dissolve away. And I can instead rejoice that that person is getting special attention from Geshe Michael, and I don't know whether they're liking it or not. I don't know what the outcome will be, but I just turned it from a jealousy maker to a recognizing it was a jealousy receiver, my own, and I just ripped it out at that point. No, I'm rejoicing for everybody who's getting time with Geshe Mike. And just sit there and watch, right? He's got a line that wraps around the building. Everybody wants to see him. You can get in the line, you can cut in front of the line, or you can sit there and rejoice in everybody who gets time with him. And I tell you what will happen is you'll be out in the parking lot and he'll walk by and stop and give you a hug, right? And you'll get 5 minutes with him. Oh, Geshe-la, I've got a question for you. I've been meaning to ask you blah, 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 blah. And you get your question answered because you sat there and waited for everybody else to get their time with him. It really does work like that, but it's so hard because our own me has this urgent need, and I need to be the one who gets my need met. And I have a confession. I had some of those last time we were with Geshe Michael at Diamond Mountain, and I got in line, and everybody in line took me by the hand and put me in front of them, and then in front of them, and then in front of them, and I ended up cutting in front of everybody. And I felt terrible about it. Right? Because of all those times that I didn't even get in line. And then, right, I got that answer that I needed. It took 2 times, but I got it. And then, now we have a new nun. But the thing is, we have this emotion, we're so sure it's because of the certain circumstance. And when we really use our emptiness of the three spheres understanding, we have the tools that we need to short circuit our habitual reaction. That's the thing. We do it in our off time, meaning cushion time or contemplation time, because it's hard to do that when we're in the midst of the mental affliction. We can't say, time out, mental affliction. I need to work out my three spheres here. We want to recognize I have this common mental affliction that arises when we're in a neutral circumstance. Let's work these things out. Let's figure out what kind of behavior I can do instead, so that we've at least thought it out, so that when we're in the midst of that mentally afflicted circumstance, we can try it on for size. We can't think it through when the boss is yelling at us. Have it pre-planned. And that's where our book work comes in as well. Right? Have your to-do thought out. Okay. So recognize also that hopefully all of this makes sense to us because we have the seeds for it to make sense. That's a goodness ripening. We could take this same discussion to someone who isn't interested, and it won't become truth for them. It won't make any sense. So if someone asks, delicately dance into it, but it's not meant to take our growing wisdom and impose it on other people. We live it, and it will show other people that something's different, and they'll sooner or later ask. And once they ask, you have a mind that's more open than someone that you know would benefit if they could just understand it. And I want them to know it. So sit down and let me tell you this, right? It's our tendency to want to do that. And, you know, if we have the seeds for when somebody said to us, you need to learn this, sit down and learn it. And we said, great, then maybe they will sit down and say, great. But I remember, right, most of the time someone said, me, and it's like, yeah, right. You know, maybe I was polite enough to listen, but it's like, meh. I certainly didn't think about it enough to prove it to myself until I wanted to know. Right? And then, oh my gosh, I've been at this longer than I care to admit. So remember, Master Shantideva at this point, his mind is so elevated that he's actually levitating, as the story goes. And so those who couldn't either levitate with him, apparently there were those who could, or whose minds at least could levitate with him, didn't even hear the end of the chapter. They didn't even have the karmic goodness to hear the discussion. And then they also didn't have the karmic goodness to hear the dedication at the end. But others did. And then, of course, as the story goes, they tracked him down and asked him to return to the monastery. And he said, what, are you nuts? I've got work to do. He said, but the books are written. They're in the rafters of my room. You're welcome to them. And so they did show, yes, there is an end to the 9th chapter, and there is a dedication chapter at the end. So they say that this 9th chapter of Master Shantideva's book has everything in it for us to be able to read it, understand it, sit down and meditate upon it, and have the direct perception of emptiness. There are people who have done it, said Geshe Michael. I read the 9th chapter, various translations of it, and I need a commentary to understand it. Even as I share understanding the commentary with others, I still need the commentary. I need my notes to share this with you. I can't do it myself. So what's the trick? How do we make it such that we can read a scripture, understand it so clearly that we can sit down and meditate on it and experience its emptiness directly? How do we bring that about? We should ask, right? It's not dumb to ask. Come on, there's nothing in that chapter that can do that in it from it. That's what we've learned. So it can do it if I have the projections for it to do it. How do I make those projections? Geshe Michael said, recall Jetsun Kappa's example, right? He was an extraordinary studier. He was an extraordinary debater. that he used not to prove that he was right, but to fine-tune his understanding. He went and studied from different traditions, different lineages, and explored what they said was true by way of logic. And he debated with those teachers, again, not fighting with them, exploring with them. What are the ramifications of what you've just taught? Let's really look at it. And the result was he ends up, they say, cleaning up misunderstandings that had developed over the years. He ended up reviving Buddhism in Tibet because he was so skillful in this, in his method of learning, that it wasn't competition, it wasn't fighting, it was everybody learning something deeper. And then it goes on to become, right, a whole lineage through him, the Gelugpa. And then he wrote voluminously as well. And the story says that he eventually met Manjushri directly and clarified his understandings and wrote from these additional clarifications of direct information from the Buddha Manjushri. And then if you ask Lama Tsongkhapa, how did you make that kind of progress? Of course, he's going to say, well, it was all done with my mental seeds. But he said, the trick was I spent as much time asking for blessings from my holy Lama as I did on the project that I was working on. So as he's writing his Lamrim Chenmo, suppose he has 6 hours a day to write. He's saying he spent 3 hours of that day begging his lamas for the blessings to understand and write the material, right, in a way that's going to help people. Please bless my mind, bless my mind, bless my mind, bless my mind. 3 hours of that so that he could sit and write for 3 hours is what it's implying. And Geshe-la says in the monastic training, when you reach your 13th year, you're ready to embark on a deep dive into your emptiness study. Before they let you start the deep dive, they send you to do a retreat. I don't know how long the retreat is. I've heard him say when Ken Rinpoche was a young man and he went on his retreat, he nearly died. And I don't know anything more from that story. But what they're supposed to do on this retreat is to go beg for the blessings of the lineage. They go do a Ganden Lagyama retreat. See why we learn that practice? It's a Lama devotion practice. It's a practice in which we grow our relationship with our holy being, that one that knows and loves. And we spend days, weeks, months, I don't know how long, asking that Lama to give us what they know, right? To teach me how to love, teach me how to be compassionate, teach me, show me, love me, bless me, give it to me. And just that over and over and over again. And I know my mind, I was raised independent. Do it yourself, Sarani. You can do it yourself. I even heard that in my training all along. I've given you everything I have. Go do it. Share it with others. Do it. My mind to beg for blessings, I had to chip away at my pride. Like, they can't give me blessings. Why spend so much time asking for blessings when they can't give me blessings? Really, it's a good question. If the lamas could give us blessings that we're asking for, they would have done so without our asking. You don't have to beg a lama for blessings. If they could give them, they would. But people line up in front of His Holiness. Please bless me. And you know, what do they get? A bump on the head. And most of us go, wow, that was special. But some get their bump on the head and they are forever changed. Right? Some do get blessings from the Lama because there's no such thing as blessing, because they're empty of self-nature. We can get blessings from the Lama. Are we likely to get a blessing that we don't believe we can get? No. Are we likely to get a blessing we don't ask for? No. Are we likely to get a blessing we don't even want? No. Is it possible? Yes. But only if in the past we'd opened ourselves up to ask for and receive for blessings. Could it be the case that we could receive them? So if in this life we can recognize the power of asking for blessings, is that's what makes the seeds to receive them, then we would see the power of asking again and again and again. And it's built into our meditation preliminaries. It's built in to our diamond way practices. It's built in right to our opening prayers. It's not, please bless me, but it's held within our recognition of their love, their compassion, their wisdom, our gratitude for them agreeing to teach us. Like it's all asking for blessings. So the trick to be able to understand this stuff is to spend a certain amount of time calling before you this being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. Whether it's Aryatara or Medicine Buddha or Shakyamuni or Jesus or Mother Mary or one of the other ascended masters, it doesn't matter who, as long as that being is for you, the one who loves compassions and wisdoms. And then you recognize those qualities in them. You recognize that they know what you, the individual, need to give up and take up. And you just say again and again and again, please bless my mind to be more kind. Bless my mind to understand. Bless my mind to ask them, right? Specifically, bless me, bless me, bless me to solve this stinky washing machine problem. That ask them for anything. And I don't know, it feels like inconsistent with I'm responsible for making my own world. To suddenly hear, no, ask for the blessings of the Lama, but it's not inconsistent when we understand what we're really doing, right? We're opening ourselves up to receiving insight. Like all of a sudden you get this bing about what to do in a given situation. And we go, oh, because I understand emptiness so well now that I came up with that. You're right, you did, because you've been relying on the blessings of the Lama. It's not inconsistent. And so we use our growing logic and practice to see the power of asking for blessings in order to create that holy being's power to give us blessings, because it doesn't come from them, it comes from us. All right, that does finish class 8 and 9. And we'll do a little bit of review. I think it does. Yeah, we do a little bit more on compassion and love, and we get into the dedication next time. All right, so thank you so much, really, for the extra time. And then for those who haven't done a whole course with me yet, when we do the review class, I like to have the students teach the review questions so that they plant the seeds for seeing themselves as the teacher, and for the rest of us to plant the seeds to see somebody that we were previously seeing as a student, as a teacher for the moment. And so if you want to play, which you're not obligated, you get assigned a few of the questions of the final exam. And you take the answer key and you study your question. And then you're welcome to deliver the answer, or you're welcome to just read the answer key. Your job is to give the information to the students what they need to prepare for their final exam. So then I get to be one of the students and I get to ask questions to clarify. And it becomes a fun learning experience and you get the seeds for teaching. So I assign those questions at the beginning of class 10. So if you want to be included on the list, be there at the beginning of class 10. Or if you can't be at class 10, let me know to include you and I can give you questions. If you don't want to do it, feel free to say, I don't feel ready yet. And that's perfectly fine. Right? So next class, where are we? Friday morning, Monday morning. That will happen. And then that class is Friday. All right? Got it? So again, thank you so much. Let's do our dedication prayer and then I forget who it was, but somebody had a question. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We learned a lot that we will use sooner or later to help them in that deep and ultimate way. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And then carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever, and so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom, and may it be so. All right. Thank you so much. I'm rejoicing in all of you. There was a question a while back. Is it still a question or did it get answered?
It was my question and you answered it.
Okay.
in the second part of the class. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Great. Great. And Chris, did you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go rejoice to fix the washing machine. Bye-bye.